Everybody, we're back again. Indie Reads Aloud, and this is episode 3 in our 3 episode special series that we're focusing on the work of Preethi from Canada. She's going to pronounce her last name for us.
Yeah, it's Preethi Balasubramanian.
Yeah, see, I would never. I don't know how you guys learn how to pronounce that stuff because it just my English language tongue doesn't want to wrap around those syllables. So I appreciate your indulgence. This is episode 3 of this special series that we're focusing on Preethi's children's books that help us to better understand and maybe give us an introduction to the mythic stories from India, from folklore and religion and culture of India, which I am finding this whole series so fascinating. Um, I think the best way for adults to learn about a different culture is through their children's literature.
Mm-hmm.
It really, these books and the stories that you're bringing to us really make it very accessible for me as a 62-year-old human. So I really appreciate that. And as I've said before, I love it when people read out loud to me. Tell me about Shakti. Who is this person in your culture? And I know the book is called Discovering Courage and Strength Within.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do the themes of courage and strength go with this character in your literature?
So, like in a lot of Indian languages, the word Shakti itself means strength.
Okay.
And and Shakti is basically a form of goddess Parvati. And so these are like different versions or different forms of goddess Parvati is Shakti. And this book basically, like I said, most of the Indian stories and Indian mythology also have connections to a festival. So usually in the end of October, early November, before the festival of Diwali, there is a festival called Navaratri, which is 9 nights. That literally translates to 9 nights.
Okay.
So it's a 9 day long festival where um, each day a different form of goddess Parvati, a different form of Shakti is the person who we pray to, whose stories we listen to on that day. And it's a 9 day long period of celebration of women and the goddess. And so and so this book basically talks through all those 9 days and the 9 forms that are celebrated during the festival of Navratri. And
Okay.
this book, the way I have written it is for each day, that is that original story which is retold. But then there is also a parallel story, or there's also another parallel story which say that story spoke about bravery. Then there is another story where there's a kid who shows bravery like in the classroom or within the playground kind of thing. So there is also a parallel story to help the children better understand the concept
So,
behind these
uh,
stories itself.
so it's a little bit of sharing with us the old original tale and
Yeah.
then showing us how it can manifest in today.
Yes.
Excellent. That's fantastic. And some of the themes that this book touches on are standing steady when life feels wobbly,
Mm-hmm.
finding patience when challenges seem too big,
Mm-hmm.
facing fears with courage, choosing forgiveness and peace, and balancing success with kindness. And
Mm-hmm.
boy, all of those are themes that we as adults
Mm-hmm.
struggle with managing. So, teaching children these things at a very young age, I think, is a marvelous idea.
Yeah, so and maybe like before I do an actual reading, I can briefly also like go through like what these 9 or 10 days are. So
Yes.
the first day, the form of goddess and speaks about being steady, being steadfast despite any obstacles or anything you get. And the second day, the goddess is basically more about patience and having that loyalty or devotion towards another person or towards something else. And the third one is basically about standing up to your own fears. So it's about how you fear is basically how you perceive it. It need not
Mhm.
be fear, because something I fear may not be something you fear.
Yes.
It's because I perceive that as fear. So it talks about that. And the third one is about more belonging, being kind of thing. The fifth one is more in terms of the mother's love or the motherly love, that parental love kind of thing.
Okay.
The sixth day is being more, is more the warrior, so the actual physical strength that you're talking about. And uh, on day 7, it's basically more of the fear of darkness, fear of unknown, so it talks to
Okay.
that element. Day 8 talks about how peace can be strength too.
Mm.
And so the day 9 is more about strength that you have from your knowledge and wisdom, that kind of strength.
How wonderful. Oh my gosh. Your folklore is so filled with um emotional intelligence.
Yeah,
It's wonderful.
yeah, and especially like for me, as a lady myself and as a mother of a daughter, like I really like these Shakti stories, because with most of the Western fairy tale that we grow up with, or the ones we teach our children, like the Cinderellas and the Snow Whites, it's
Yeah.
always the girl is portrayed as that damsel in distress who actually
Mm.
needs a Prince Charming to come save her. But all these stories talk about about girls having the power themselves, them standing up for themselves, and not only themselves but for their community or for their family kind of thing also. So,
That's
so,
spectacular.
so in a way,
Empowering
like,
women that way. That's
yeah, so
really
in a way, these stories are also like power of women, women empowerment stories too.
I love it. I love it. I love the idea that we're raising children from little people to understand that women can be equally strong, courageous, brave,
Hmm.
as well as caretakers.
Yes.
I think that's fantastic. I am looking forward to you reading a bit from this book. This is Shakti in You, Discovering Courage and Strength Within.
Okay, so let me pick one of the stories. Okay, so this is day 5 uh, of that Navaratri thing. So, Skanda Mata, the mother who protects with love. In a kingdom far away, people prayed for protection from fierce demons who stormed through villages, stealing harvests and frightening families. The gods turned to a gentle yet powerful goddess, Skanda Mata, the mother of Skanda. She appeared seated gracefully on a lion, her face calm and kind, holding her baby son Skanda on her lap. Skanda was destined to become a mighty warrior, but in her arms he was just a little child, smiling and playful. The people whispered, "She carries only a baby. How will she fight the demons?" But when the demons came roaring, Skandamata's lion leapt forward with a fierce growl. She held her child close with one arm, and with the other she raised her radiant hand in blessing. Her love poured out like a shield, wrapping the villagers in glowing light. The demon tried to charge in, but her love was stronger than their rage. Whenever they came near, they were pushed back by the warm, glowing protection of a mother's embrace. Skanda laughed joyfully on her lap, his tiny hands clapping, as though he too sent courage to the people. The villagers cheered. She protects not with weapons, but with love. A mother's heart is the greatest strength of all. Skandamata smiled. The love you give and the love you receive, this is what protects and carries you through every storm. So, like I said, the parallel story for children today. So
Mm-hmm.
that one is Oliver was nervous. It was his first soccer game, and the other team looked taller, stronger and faster. His legs wobbled as he walked into the field. From the sidelines, his mother waved. Go, Oliver, she called, her voice warm and steady. Oliver bit his lips. What if I messed up? But then he remembered Skandamata, the goddess who held her son close while facing whole armies. She didn't let fear shake her because her love was her shield. Oliver looked at his mom again. Her smile made him feel like he was wrapped in invisible armor. He nodded to himself. If she believes in me, I can try. The whistle blew. Oliver ran after the ball, his nerves still fluttering, but every time he glanced at his mom, he felt stronger. By the end of the game, he had even scored a goal. Afterwards, he hugged her tight. I was so scared, but when I saw you smiling, I felt safe. His mom kissed his forehead. That's what love does. It makes us brave. Oliver realized that love wasn't just soft, it was powerful, just like Skandamata had shown. And I have a reflection question too. Who makes you feel safe and brave when you're scared? And how can you share that same love with someone else?
That's beautiful. Wow. Wow, I'm really enjoying these stories. I'm gonna go buy the. I think we should buy these books and pass them out to our politicians. That's what I think. And I think our politicians should memorize the meaning behind these stories before they're allowed to serve in office. That's what I think. Just my thought, but fantastic. The next book that you're going to read for us is Lights of Diwali, Stories of Courage, Kindness, and Hope. And you were talking before about this is also a festival. Can you
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about the festival?
Okay, so Diwali, I think, is one of or the most prominent Hindu festival that is celebrated, and Hindus, like wherever they are in the world, they still celebrate Diwali. And like I initially also mentioned, it depends on which part of India you come from. The reason why you celebrate it is a little different, but the general essence of the festival of Diwali is the victory of good over bad, of light over darkness kind of thing. And it that is kind of why it is celebrated with lights. So Diwali is the festival of lights, where on the day of Diwali, the whole house, the whole neighborhood, everywhere usually is lit up with lamps, and there are fireworks and firecrackers, and it's everything light.
So
And
is there a special candelabra like we have for Hanukkah
no, no,
or
that
for
isn't a.
Kwanzaa? Or is it just lamps in general?
It's just lamps in general. It's usually those traditional Indian mud lamps with oil and a wick.
Okay.
So that kind of lamps, but basically any lamps in general, and it's lamps, it's lights, it's so sequence lights, all sorts of lights. But basically, the and if you are in India during Diwali, literally like at night, the whole place will be lit up. Like the entire neighborhoods will be lit up. All people's balconies will be lit up, and there'll be a lot of like fireworks around and all of that for Diwali. And usually, um, people exchange like gifts and sweets and savories with their neighbors and relatives, and Diwali is basically more of also like a community festival. You don't do Diwali in your house, but it's like the whole neighborhood celebrates it together.
So is this just a 1 day festival or is it several days?
Uh, it also depends on where you come from in
Okay.
India, because it can be from 1 day to some people, 2 days to some people. It's like a 3 day thing that they do, uh,
Okay.
depending on where in India you're from and what your family customs are.
Okay. That's fascinating. I the first time I met somebody from India, we were talking and he was saying that you have many, many languages and many, many traditions in this country. And I
Hmm.
find it fascinating that almost every neighborhood has a small variation of how you celebrate or how you speak, but the core of it all is very, very similar.
Yeah, no, I might kind of compare it to, imagine if whole of Europe was a country, right? Like in Europe,
Mm,
you go a few kilometers and it's another country, it's another language, it's another culture. India is like that. Each state has its own language, and even within the state, there are like different dialects of the same language.
yeah.
And
I
did
have enough trouble with English. I don't know if I could do that.
so like even in my house, so yes, though both me and my husband do come from the same background kind of thing, but then in my house I speak Tamil, and in his house they do speak Tamil, but they also speak Malayalam. So my kids now speak to me in Tamil, but they speak to their dad in Malayalam.
Oh,
And
wow.
and of course, because they are in Canada, they do learn English and French. So
That's fascinating to me. I wish I could compartmentalize my brain that way to learn that many languages. That's fantastic. All right. I'm excited to hear this last of the 6 stories in this series. We're doing this 3 episode special series about the cultural stories from India. And this is Lights of Diwali, stories of courage, kindness, and hope.
yes, so this book, like I said, depending on where you're in India from, has 5 different stories as the reason behind Diwali, and one being the return of Lord Ram after his 14 years of exile. There is this other version, which is the version with Lord Krishna and him defeating a demon called Narakasura. There is another version where it's celebrated as the festival of wealth and well-being. So it's based on goddess Lakshmi, the giver of wealth. So
Okay.
that's one version of it. And in certain parts of India, in Kerala, it's also signifies a story behind a king who was a very prosperous king in Kerala called King Bali, and his encounters with Vamana. And then there is another version where it is from the Shakti book. One of the forms of Shakti is goddess Kali, who is a warrior, who is a protector. So it is her destroying bad things. So there are like these different variations of stories depending on where in India you come from. And like I said, so uh,
Such a rich cultural tapestry. I just love this.
yeah, so I do have all 5 of these stories retold and have like parallel stories to them. Uh,
Okay,
and it ends with basically, doesn't matter like what you do and what's the reason you celebrate Diwali, the purpose or the intent behind is the same. So the last story is a story about that. So that's the story I'm going to be reading today.
excellent.
So the essence of Diwali, the light inside us. Diwali is celebrated in many different ways. In the north, families light thousands of tiny lamps to welcome home their loved ones. In the south, people remember brave heroes who faced fear and protected the good. In other parts of the country, children celebrate the joy of giving, courage, and love. Even though the traditions are different, the message is the same everywhere. Diwali is about light over darkness, hope over fear, and kindness over selfishness. It reminds us that even the smallest acts, lighting a lamp, sharing a snack, helping a friend, can make the world brighter. Each child in the story and each god, Rama, Krishna, or Anika, Arjun, and Riya, found a light inside themselves. It shone when they were brave, when they shared, when they helped, and when they celebrated what was good. That light is not just magic, it is inside you too. It grows every time you choose love over anger, courage over fear, and kindness over selfishness. When you help a friend, comfort someone who is sad, or even smile at someone who is alone, your light shines just like the lamps of Diwali. And when many lights shine together, the darkness has nowhere to hide. Diwali is not only about lamps you see outside, it's about the light you carry inside your heart. And there's a parallel story. Leela looked around her school playground and noticed a lot of small moments where she could make a difference. A new student was sitting alone. A friend was scared to try the climbing wall. Another classmate had dropped her books and didn't have anyone to help. Leela remembered all the Diwali stories she had read. She took a deep breath and started with a smile. She invited the new student to play, held the hand of her scared friend, and helped pick up the fallen books. By the end of the day, the playground felt brighter. Kids laughed, shared, and helped one another. Leela felt something wonderful in her chest, a warm, glowing feeling. She realized it was her own light shining, just like Rama, Krishna, Anika, and Arjun. That night, Leela told her mom, I helped so many people today and it made me feel happy and brave. I think my heart is full of light. Her mom smiled and said, that's exactly what Diwali is. Every kind, brave, and loving action is a little lamp that shines in the world and inside you. And reflection questions are, how can you let your light shine today? Who could you help, cheer, or comfort to make the world a little brighter?
That's wonderful. Oh my gosh, I got goosebumps. That's fantastic. I love this idea that so much of your very rich culture is embedded in this idea of loving and helping and serving other people.
Mhm.
I think I it makes me want to go visit India.
No, and I
It
think
does.
like that's something I also notice, like even as a societal thing, I've noticed that difference, or I feel that difference coming from India to here is in India, like even today, like whenever there is any festival or anything, like the neighbors, or if you're living in a condo complex, or if you're in the neighborhood, like the neighbors do things together. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you prepared something nice in your house, you would go give it to your neighbor would come and give you something. And and even now, like my mom lives by herself in India, and we don't really feel like she's living alone because she has like her whole community who help her. Like if she's a little unwell, there is somebody who is willing to go get the medicines for her. If she needs help,
Yeah.
somebody else who would go buy her groceries when they are buying their own groceries. And I feel that sense of community. And like even with like the difference between when I had my son back in India, when I had my daughter here in Canada. Like when my son was born there, like I didn't even know what I had to do, or I didn't have to do anything because I had
Yeah.
my
Because
parents,
you had your community around you.
I had my parents, my in-laws, my neighbors, my relatives. Like I didn't even bother like planning out, okay, what clothes should I buy for the kid? What toys should I buy for the kid? Because it was all taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas here for my daughter, like from the tiniest thing, we had to plan out and make a list and buy things
That's
ourselves.
very different.
And you don't have that kind of a support system.
Mm.
And I think like even culturally, societally, that's generally India, I feel is more community driven, more collective, more helpful of each other and supportive.
It sounds like a beautifully generous way to grow up
Hmm.
as a child, to grow in that sense of generosity. I think that's a lovely idea. Thank you so much, Preethi, for coming on the program and doing this really special series with me. I so appreciate you.
Thank
And
you.
I hope everything goes great for you in your writing career.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.